Hello, welcome back to the BCS podcast, championship review. People were initially saying that I was ducking this, but those will know that I was the first to say in the group chat we need to record this.
Yep.
That's a Michigan man of high integrity, but I mean, it wouldn't be right if I didn't let Cozzi at least get the floor for a bit.
Yeah. If you can see his shirt, we know who the champs are. We'll discuss the two semifinals, the championship game. And yeah, Cozzi, the floor is yours. Congrats. Go ahead and say your few words, and then we'll kind of recap the games.
I mean, we can definitely wait to recap the national championship game when we get there. The run was immensely intense, I guess you could say. There was a lot of highs and definitely very, very low valleys. But hats off to Michigan for somewhere igniting the team, which – God, it ignited the fan base, honestly.
Sure.
Without that game, I'm not sure we're here talking about this. I mean, we still could be, but we could also be talking about an Oregon championship too. And I think us and Oregon were definitely the best two teams, and we somehow needed an extra motivation. I will also say the opponent that we played in the first round really pulled everything out of this fan base that I've never seen our fan base act the way it's acted before. And I don't think we were ready for an SEC fan base and the SEC fan base that all other SEC fans also hate.
Yeah, it stinks that their fan base or their team didn't live up to the level of their fan base.
No, I know. I mean, the fan base literally ignited that stadium to be a very raucous environment where everyone was kind of down and out of it after the whole Michigan game. And then, boom, Tennessee fans just literally brought everything out in us, like the worst side of us. And then you had Oregon, then you had Texas, and you had the big Jack Sawyer play. And then you had the national title, which to me is a great Catholic boy. It just ravished in it. And we'll get into it about everything once we get to the game, because I want to tell about my experience, things like that.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Well, we will definitely get into it, and we'll tell how I got in the door.
Yeah. So we'll start. We'll start with the other game, the other semifinal. Then we'll go to Ohio State. So Penn State loses to Notre Dame 27-24 in a game that honestly Penn State dominated from the start. The first half, I thought they were going to pull away multiple times. But they kind of just let Notre Dame come back into the game, let Riley Leonard do whatever he wanted running the ball. And then
did 20 passes to wide receivers.
Yeah.
Crazy. But
unbelievable. They didn't have a single completion to a wide receiver.
Here's the whole thing with this game, right? I like to think of myself as a ball knower. I used to title space as ball knowers only back in the day. This is the whole thing, right? I always unapologetically say that I don't know, like a cover one from a cover four, or what the hell like stunts and nonsense is. I could easily learn if I wanted to, but I think it's almost more fun that I don't. But I watch enough football and know how shit works. Okay, the combination of me and the man to my right, how we broke that game down to a T is crazy. I don't know if you remember. I put it on Twitter. One of my many should have been bangers. Yep. I was like, look, Penn State, they're going to go up early. They're going to take a double-digit lead. They're going to choke it. Notre Dame's going to win. I think, a field goal off from each team on the score.
Yeah.
And then Zack goes, if they force a turnover, they win. They being
single turnover.
I mean, we
literally
in the fourth quarter.
Literally.
Drew played a great. I mean, he played a great game for what he had. I mean, receivers didn't get. I mean, the receiver problem was still an issue, but he played pretty good. What he needed to do for 3 quarters, and then he had one single interception in the fourth quarter when they get the ball back, where they just needed a field goal, and they gave it right back. And they gave it to Notre Dame in a spot where they couldn't stop them. They were.
Yeah. It was funny because I had said it was going to be super low scoring and whatnot. And we got to like the end of the first quarter. We got midway through the second quarter. And I think we were kind of texting back and forth. And you guys were like, wow, this is really low scoring. And I'm like, yeah, this is this is going to continue to be low scoring. And then third quarter hit, and it was like, boom. And it was like, well, there goes my prediction. Well, actually, the fourth quarter hit.
Yeah, I mean, they had 31 points scored in the fourth quarter alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh, crap. Well, there goes the whole whatever. But look, once again, Penn State, you had your opportunities to put this game away in the first half, in the third quarter, and you just didn't capitalize again.
Yep.
Like, no, I mean, it's the same stuff. And obviously, we'll talk about Penn State more because they inserted themselves into the national dialogue recently, which obviously will break down more to that. But I mean, it's just, I don't know what more you need to see. There's a few things I don't know if I want to talk about it now or later. I'm going to wait till later about Penn State. I got some very harsh things to say about them, but I just thought it funny, like objectively, just how fans watch. Obviously now I always like to have my phone on or the Twitter group chats we're in and just read what people are going. The same people that were screaming and begging for Penn State to push down the field were the ones that were like, why would they throw it?
Yeah.
I just thought that was a very funny thing, but I mean, someone's got to media train Drew a bit better. He's like, yeah, he spiked it he's like, I was trying to ground the ball, bro. I'm like, so you're gonna do the Jordan Love full crossbody thing? I don't know if you remember that the NFC championship game, or not championship game. What was it? The Final Four for the NFC last year when
I know what you're talking about.
Jordan Love runs and just throws crossbody straight to the other team. It was like identical pick. So, and then of course Jeter does what he does. And there's one thing I want to say. Actually, no, that was in the title game. I got it totally wrong. Jeter missed the kick in the wrong game. I'll get to that. I have a very hard take on that.
Well, we actually got to talk about that miss kick.
That's pretty much it, basically. I don't know. That's all I got on that game.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about Notre Dame going into the next game, but
I do want to say this about Penn State is I don't disagree with them pushing the ball down the field. You're trying to win the game. It literally
I love it.
Yes.
That's so anti-Franklin. If Franklin had taken a knee and lost in overtime, everyone would have killed him.
Yes, exactly. And I know they lost the game, but it like showed this new side to me where I was like, oh, they tried to go out and win this game instead of, hey, we're playing not to lose. We're playing not to get this thing to overtime. Like he did this, what was it? Illinois 2 years ago or 4 years ago or something like that. And they got to overtime and everyone was like, well, why didn't you try and throw downfield, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And it was like, well, you didn't throw downfield because you were worried about your quarterback turning the ball over. You didn't trust your quarterback. You got into overtime and it was like the first quadruple overtime where they had the 2-point conversions with them in Illinois. Oh, and it was like, and you just didn't try to win the game there. Now you tried to win this game finally, and it literally backfired, but also you don't have any wide receivers. You still don't really have any wide receivers.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's a tough situation. I mean, they're lucky they have another portal window to see what changes.
We'll get into it after the.
But I mean, this is a rough loss for Penn State. I mean, they basically had it a perfect situation where it would have been Big Ten versus Big Ten. It would have been.
Look, you would have lost regardless, but at least you would have made the game.
Yeah, I mean,
so close. Having Big Ten versus Big Ten, so close.
And just one last thing. I know everyone thinks that Michigan cheated last year, like grow up. But if there was a hammer, this Final Four was our hammer. I mean, I had no one to root for.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas I could kind of root for, but it was like they beat us this year, and they were a bunch of assholes at their stadium. And then it was like, I don't know what I'm doing with that, blah, blah, blah. It was just an all-around total nightmare debacle.
Yeah. And then we can talk about the other game. You're just going to repeat yourself throughout the entire playoffs. Another wonderful performance from Will Howard throughout this game. 24 for 33, almost 300 yards and a touchdown. Tate had a really great game. I know he had 80-plus receiving yards this game. I mean, the game was kind of slow for a little bit. Kind of started picking up in the middle section. But, I mean, Ohio State ran the ball efficiently for a couple of plays. And then, Texas kind of had an answer, and then they kind of collapsed in the fourth quarter. I mean, Not much was going for them in the fourth quarter once they kind of had that tie.
Well, okay. So look, here's the thing. So you get the tie ball game, and we go right down and we punt, and then they punt right back to us, and then you have our long drive, which everybody in the world somehow knew that it was going to be a Will Howard pulled on the run pass option. It wasn't even, it was just a direct run by him. It wasn't even run pass option. It wasn't play action. And everybody in the world knew it was coming. 4th and 2. Like, it was perfectly set up. It was great blocked. And then the 20-yard line obviously tripped him. Clumsy
Jones ass play
running down the field. And it's just like, when he slipped and fell, I was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. We're going to settle for a field goal here. Like,
it ended up being better, obviously, looking back.
It did. But the one thing I want to say about Texas is, before the Jack Sawyer strip sack, whatnot, they got down the field going, hurry up. Like, they got right down there, and then they got down there, and it's like they were trying to stall to get the game to overtime because they thought they were going to score. Granted,
it reminded me of the NFL game last night.
Yes, exactly.
Like, Chiefs walk down the field, 1st and goal, and they run clock.
Yes. And I'm like,
you're going to do one or the other, okay?
And here's the thing, by the way, they just kept throwing into the end zone and getting pass interference or holding or something like that. And granted, I think the one was questionable. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
I'm sick of this shit, dude. It was 1st and goal on the 1-yard line, and it ended up in a touchdown for the other team.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of becoming a problem where teams just get too cute.
Exactly. These offensive-minded coaches get so fucking cute. Happen in the NFL too.
And here's the problem, okay?
Let's run a toss to Caleb Downs' side, okay? The toss has no purpose in modern football.
Granted,
linebacker doesn't work. I know Saquon yesterday took a toss to the house. That's different. He's different.
Now, okay, here's what I'm going to say is, you had 1st and goal from the 1-yard line. Yes, we stuffed it once. But why on 2nd and goal are you, first off, yes, I agree, toss to Caleb Downs' sideline and Sonny Styles
Manning QB sneaks.
Thank you.
Yeah, why was Arch Manning not in the game?
I mean, funnily enough, you guys can find this. I think it was like the 3rd or 4th video I ever made on this channel.
Okay.
I did a full video on the lost art of the QB sneak because it was pissing me off a few years ago, and it's gotten even worse now.
No, I just don't understand. Okay?
Ask the Bills how to run a goddamn QB sneak.
The whole season, Texas thought it was a great idea to use Arch in the red zone.
Earlier in the game, they did.
Okay, well, hold on.
And they didn't do it this game.
Hold on. Revert back. I think Arch got hurt when they had that review of a fumble, which I do agree, by the way, not a fumble. I think it was very close. Call on the field should have stood. That was a good call. But I think he got hurt on that play, though.
Yeah,
I think he got hurt, and that's why they didn't bring him in the red zone. And then you had just magic happen. Like, I still can't believe Jack Sawyer did it. I mean, out of all the players, I know Blake absolutely hates him and everything. Just the Columbus kid to do that, send us to a national title that way was awesome.
It was one of the worst plays I've ever watched in my entire life. I said it was right next to the Curtis Samuel touchdown to break my heart in 2016. Because the thing is Sawyer is so unathletic and such a bad football player that motherfucker was running for 20 minutes. It was in slow motion, in live motion. It was the least athletic play I have ever seen. Oh, man.
Yeah, so
this is what makes the run even better.
This is the part, right? And this is not even like what it is, right? So the game started, right? And I know because I know we kind of walked past the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
You guys just walked down and scored. No problem.
Yeah.
And literally what happened was that whole first half to me reminded me of the Vikings-Lions playoff game where it was like the Lions or the playoff game, the final game of regular season are basically both of our Super Bowls, clearly how the season ended. And they're both sitting there and it's like, hey, I'm a Lions fan, but we should be down like 30 at halftime. They just couldn't punch it. Ohio State should have been up 20.
Mm-hmm.
And then they run the beautiful Jadon Blue wheel route. Just whoever the linebacker was, I think it's the kid that came back, gets absolutely cooked and just right in the bucket. It's like, okay, Arch, there you go. By the way, 10 out of 10 celebration, the dodgeball celebration. Unfortunately, they did the celebration of the Cobras, whatever, the pink Cobras, purple Cobras.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did
those guys lose in the end. Like,
yes,
can't do that.
Yes.
and everything's great. And it goes from, I remember exactly in the chat. It went from like, okay, Ohio State's going to walk to the national championship. At least Blake's bomb of the week hits for the 10th straight week of Ohio State minus 10.5, blah, 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 or 9.5. I was like, okay, cool. And they score a touchdown. You're like, oh, okay. And everyone's talking shit. And as they do that, you see one of the guys in the chat just goes, I'm dead. It's like, what? They run a screen to the house. Oh, that right there was, I was like, all right, it's over. But then it wasn't.
Yeah, I know.
Texas was the only team to watch what Michigan was doing and try to emulate it a little bit because they had a little bit of the defensive front to do. They didn't have the perfect defensive front. Then you finally were, because it was kind of like the Michigan game where it's like, just hang around long enough for the defense to break through one play. And you had Simmons with a big sack, and then Will throws his typical arm punt right across the middle, brutal pick, and then you turn it over right away. And it was just like they had so many options. And then, as you said, they hurried up all the way down, or they went hurry up all the way down, which was funny because it reminded me of, I was literally like, this is the Michigan-Ohio State game. Like, Ohio State went hurry up one time and walked down and scored a touchdown. And then they stopped first and inches, obviously, and they just got cute. And that was when I'm like, look, dude, I'm sick of these offensive-minded coaches, right? As how much of a hard ass is, and he ends up losing you games. You know, you look at guys like Dan Campbell, and it's like, okay, you know, he would have ran it there. And I even say, like, the revisionist history on the Harbaugh era for people like me is going to be interesting because, like, I don't know if anyone else was as bored as I was watching that Bama Michigan game in the bowl game. It's like, this sucks. But if we had the ball at first and goal, you know, Michigan scoring, you know, Harbaugh scoring, who cares? Everyone knows it's coming. We're still going to score. And I'm just so sick of these analytic nonsense because the toss play is barely even a run play. Like, do something fun. Even do a cute run play. Do one of those dumb Chief plays where everyone's doing like spinning and then stands down and they run like a freaking ring around the rosy shit. I don't care. But to do that, and I know we'll get to it later, I still would have kicked. When it ended up being what? Was it third or fourth and goal when they turned it over?
It was fourth and goal. But can I ask you this?
10 or 11?
Yeah.
Kick
it. Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Okay. Without looking, what time did they have that they got first and goal? The first time without looking.
I'm going to guess 5 minutes.
Okay. But Zach, you want to guess?
Like 7 minutes, I think it was.
No. The first and goal. They got the ball with 7 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah. They got the first and goal.
It was like 5, 6.
I think it was less than that.
It was less than that, but
it was like 3 minutes and 50 seconds, I think.
You're close. He's a little bit closer. It was 4:04 that they got the first and goal.
When was the fourth down snap?
What fourth down snap when we scored the touchdown? It was 2:13 left.
Oh, yeah.
They literally almost ran 2 minutes off the clock, and they started that drive at 6:58. Literally almost 7 minutes. They got down the field in basically 3 minutes and then wasted 2 other minutes.
I mean, obviously we're just walking into the next game. The Notre Dame did the exact same thing, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, Notre Dame did a lot of shit that was just mind-blowing.
Which we can talk about now is the national championship game. Again, Will Howard, I mean, played great.
That first drive. I'll always have that first drive.
Yeah. Quinshon Judkins had an amazing game, 3 touchdowns, 120 yards, I think it was total. They ran the ball really efficiently. And after that first drive, where Notre Dame was, 12 plays?
I think it was 18 plays. 10 minutes. It was an Army drive.
It was an Army drive, yeah.
Literally. 18 plays, 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Hang the banner, Irish. Hang the banner.
Awesome. That was one of the best drives of football I've ever seen. I was there, and I was like,
I am going to say this, and I'm going to say this is non-cocky as possible, because where I was at for the game, I was in standing room only, and I had a Notre Dame fan to the left of me, a Notre Dame fan to the right of me, and my buddy standing behind me in standing room only. And I turn around to him, and I remember saying this, and I go, well, that's all their scripted plays. Let's see how they do against our adjusted defense the rest of the game. And he just goes, what do you mean? And I'm like, they just walked down the field like we were water. I'm like, we're going to make adjustments. And they just ran Riley Leonard up the middle a ton of times. We're going to adjust to that. We were not prepared for that. We did not think they were going to run Riley Leonard every single play and kill him.
What are you guys watching?
And kill him. I didn't think we were going to see him every single play. But I can tell you this. When I got started getting text messages going, Riley Leonard's on the sideline puking his brains out right now. I'm like, yep, they're going to be in for a long game because now he's going to have to throw it some. They're going to literally force them into throwing it. And I wasn't even that nervous. And then we went down the field like they were water, and I was like, okay, we're back. Would love to say this. The Jeremiah Smith play on the first touchdown, did you recognize that play?
Yeah, that was the
it was
Sark play against Ohio State 2020.
Yeah.
Correct.
It was awesome.
One of my favorite football games of all time.
It's like a fake comeback, run down the field type thing.
Back when I had to be Ohio State and root for people to beat my team through someone else. God, I was such a big Clemson fan back in the day.
No,
I mean, I still am, to be fair. But
actually, it almost looked like the game was going to be falling apart, especially going into the second half, 28-7. Ohio State looked like they were just controlling the game. And then, Notre Dame kind of scored a couple touchdowns, made it seem interesting. Ohio State's offense they kept them off the field, went a little stale, had a fumble, had a punt type thing. And then Notre Dame scored a touchdown, made it an 8-point game. And
the fumble was minimally big, but let me tell you, the missed field goal inside the stadium. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard the non-broadcast whatever inside the stadium. I have never heard a louder missed field goal inside a stadium before.
Yeah, I mean, they were down 16 points.
Oh, I'm sure the Ohio State miss against Georgia was louder.
Yeah, especially.
No. Here's the thing.
Home game for Georgia?
No, hold on. What I'm saying is the doink off the upright.
Oh, yeah.
It reverberated inside that stadium like I've never heard a kick reverberate. I don't know if they had the mic on the field goal posts or not, but it was so loud of a doink. Like it was like a bang. And it was like just I'm not saying like crowd-wise noise, but I will say this. The one cool thing is when we went up 31-7 inside the stadium, don't know if you heard it on the broadcast. They played Seven Nation Army before our kickoff, up 31-7, and that's when it got real loud inside that place.
If you guys would end up losing that game.
Now, let's just put it this way. Very much so, the fumble did not cost us points, which was fine. But then we just went out and punted again, and it's like, okay, guys, look, we were up 31-7. Now they made two 2-point conversions, and it's 31-23. Like, you got to do something with it. There's not a lot of time left. Very nerve-wracking. I mean, there were 4 minutes left. There was plenty of time. They had their timeouts, stuff like that. 3rd and 11 play, actually. So I went to championship parade yesterday, and they had or championship celebration, whatever you want to call it. They had the game going on pregame, and it was just replaying. And I'm standing there with my buddy, and I just said to him, they had the 3rd and 11 coming up, and they had jump around going on, basically over the loudspeaker and stuff like that. And I go, I do not remember jump around being played before 3rd and 11. And he goes, yep, that's fake. They're blaring that into the broadcast. There's no way this is real. I don't know how you felt, Blake. I don't know if there was any pressure moments for Michigan-Washington game. I cannot remember. But I felt like time stood still with the ball in the air to Jeremiah Smith.
That pass was unbelievable. I mean,
Michigan we were kind of control the whole game against Washington. Not to be an asshole. But
Washington kind of ruined their chance when they had the drive.
So we got to talk about it. All right. The field goal. Now.
The field goal made no sense.
Why did you say that? Why do I say it? Did you both say it?
Yeah.
They're
down 16. They're down 16 points. It doesn't matter.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to say this. It made somewhat sense, and I'll tell you why. You're down 16 points. It cuts it to 13. Then you have the opportunity to go down and score 2 touchdowns, kick the extra points, and win the game 32-31. That was first scenario. The second scenario, though, you got to understand, it was also a 3rd or 4th and goal from the 9-yard line. They had 9 yards to go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
that's what people don't understand. Okay, I understand the kicker missed, but in the playoffs he was money. The analytics. Okay, I had one of my.
You
boys
just said you didn't want to hear the analytics because
God.
they're running all the goal line plays.
No, this is what. No, there's good analytics and there's bad analytics, and that's the difference in football programs. Okay, they say it was a 2.5% chance of converting the touchdown and getting a 2-point conversion. The odds of a 27-yard field goal was 99.8%. All right, obviously it's different, right? But look how the end of the game ended. Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously Ohio State would have played a lot differently if it was a 5-point game versus an 8-point game, right?
Yep.
Pretty clearly. Ohio State got the ball back. I know that they were end up down 11, right?
Yeah.
So in theory, Notre Dame would have had the ball down 1 score with 20 seconds left. I understand it's, it is what it is, but and the funniest thing is them missing the field goal is basically the same thing as them going for it and missing it. So we pretty much ended in the same timeline regardless. But if they had 3 points, it'd been totally different. And you got to remember how good the defense was of Notre Dame in the second half. I don't know if it was just a lack of play calling or what it was, but Penn State and Ohio State was getting scared. And you knew if they were up that high, Penn State was 31-8, I think it was, you said at one point?
31-7. Exactly.
If it was a 1-score game that late in the game, I know it ended up kind of being a 1-score game, but 8 points with them with the ball. If it was 5 points and it's all right, we got to score a touchdown to do it. Ryan Day would have either trying to get play calling back, would have shot down his leg because that's exactly what was happening. And I was sitting at home. I was like, whoa, baby. I was like, look, I've watched a lot of football and no one's been higher on post Michigan, Ohio State than me. I don't know. I'm sitting there like, I don't know, man. That was the only actual moment other than the first drive where I was like, okay, they actually have a legitimate chance to win. But I will die on the stick that fucking field goal was the correct decision.
I agree it was. I mean, as far as a fan of the team in the game with that missed field goal, man, that was so enjoyable. That was such a enjoyable moment.
It made it worse. That's what sucks. If the field goal was made, obviously everything changes and that decision is totally looked down upon differently. And that's what I hate about analytics. To me, the quintessential one for it is the NFC Championship game last year when Lions fans got pissed at us for keep going for it. I'm like, it was a great play call. The idiot dropped it. How did the guy wide open? You can't let the result of the decision impact the decision.
Correct. I agree.
Like the Commanders running a fake punt down, 15 on their own 20-yard line was a horrible decision. I understand they converted it. Still a terrible decision. That's just me. That's how you got to view things like that. And obviously I know it's hard to do in the moment, but it is what it is. And obviously people were trying to make fun of me when Notre Dame went the easiest 2-point conversion of all time on that next touchdown. But I mean, you obviously got to remember the point differential factors, but whatever. It's a whole thing. But I do
want to say one thing. Big up on Jaden Fielding. He'll be back next year. Obviously, he struggles. But I got to say this, man. It felt so good for him. I was very happy for him to see that kick go through, put us up 11, and just clinch it. That was. Hey, trust me, nothing was given with him.
No, I'm looking at Michigan. That's 1 for 6 on the free throw line. My apologies.
Oh, okay. Well, are you guys doing that bad right now, or is it?
No, we're tied.
Yeah. See, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
We're tied. We just drilled a 3.
Yeah. So great game, great win for Ohio State. Great way to send off Judkins and Will Howard for that game and all their defensive players. Interesting how it's going to be in the future, which we'll talk about when we get to that part of the year.
Yeah, we're going to see how good the recruiting rankings are because they lost a lot of guys and had a pretty bad portal.
I mean, I don't want to be like that guy, but Notre Dame looked good. They didn't look great.
Notre Dame has everyone back though. They have a lot.
Yeah, that's the one thing I want to talk about is real quick.
Not Riley.
Steve Angeli looked good against Penn State, which is a good sign. He only came in
starting next year.
He only came in for 7 passes. CJ Carr, if it's him. whatever happens,
it's going to be CJ Carr, I think.
They're retaining Love and Price, which is unbelievable.
Most of their lines leaving.
That's probably one of their best parts of their team right now.
I think one thing that we can say is
I'm sorry. Who is exactly coming back? I'm looking at their depth chart right now.
Oh, I thought don't they have like 8 starters coming back on defense?
Every guy I saw in like the Notre Dame,
their offensive linemen.
All of the games they kept showing though with these defensive guys, like most snaps in history. I swear, like their whole defense is gone. Plus, the coordinator is a bungle now.
Yeah, he is a bungle.
Well, that's true. Yeah, good luck with him.
But yeah, I mean, great one for Ohio State.
I respect guys like him with the small play sheet. That always makes me laugh.
Cozzi, you could talk about your experience real quick, and then we can kind of wrap it up on what the end of the.
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to
say, but you go first.
What?
So we got to talk about the fallout of the game after.
Hold on. Well, first off, we have to talk about this. Okay, so Zach, pressure's all on you now because this podcast has now had back-to-back national champions. Mm-hmm. And I think it's all on Michigan State now. You guys got to bring home the 3rd title in a row for the Big Ten and the podcast.
Hey, they got hoops.
Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna say there's a crazy stat, but there is a crazy stat. Every single team that we've lost to at home in the last 2 years has went on to win a national championship. I'm just saying.
Didn't you lose to Nebraska?
And we lost to Michigan 2 years ago. They won the national championship at home, and then we lost to Ohio State. And they won the national championship at home. So, I don't know. Hopefully we end the curse this year. But, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to. We can talk more about next year in the next couple weeks. Break it down. We'll probably do a portal podcast. But, Cozzi, let's finish it off with your experience, and then we'll talk a little bit more about final takeaways from the season.
I think these two know how I got in the door. It's kind of one of the most wild things, and I've heard people have this happen to them before. Essentially, did not have tickets, went down for the game, and we're walking outside the stadium, and a security guard stops my buddy, who's like, we had our fingers up, like 2 fingers looking for 2 tickets, and he stops my buddy, and he goes, I have these worker wristbands for you. I'll get you through security. You pay me under the table, etc. I have no ticket for the game. Like, had no ticket. Literally have a wristband. That's it. And I remember I got in and I texted our group text, and I was just like, I'm in. I'm in the game. I can't explain right now. I'm in the game.
I think you texted a photo of you inside first.
No, yeah, that was it. Yes.
To one of our Big Ten chats, and I texted aside, and Zack and I both like, Cozzi.
How did you get in the game?
Literally, because tickets at
I thought you were going to play your kidney or something.
Tickets at that point were $5,000, and that's without the fees and everything like that. It was wild. It was crazy. It was nuts. As Blake, he's been to a national title game. I felt like every single play was like a brand new game. Like every single play broken down into like, hey, there's this, and this happening. And like, I'm the type of person who has studied football, knows like all the knows formations, knows coverages, knows all that kind of stuff. I can tell you on the Jeremiah Smith pass, I didn't even notice if it was zone coverage. I didn't notice if it was man-to-man. I'm pretty sure that like my mind and my body just like blacked out for a second. And it was just like the ball literally took forever to throw, like just get to him. And it was just like, and I didn't even realize I did this. My buddy said, you screamed so loud. You were just like, throw it to Jeremiah. Like just so loud. And he's just like, he goes, I thought you were going to blow your eardrums out from you yelling so loud. It was an awesome experience. Atlanta is a great host city. I
said that. I think it's great.
One weird thing is though, every bar around the stadium or restaurant or anything was closed.
Yeah.
The game.
So when we went,
there was something else going on that day.
All private events. All were private events hosted by Ohio State Alumni Association, Ohio State this, Notre Dame Alumni Association, Notre Dame this.
So when I went there, it was a little different because it was 2021, right after COVID. Yep. But it's so weird. I don't know if it's always been like this, but like everything closes so early too.
Yes. I noticed everything around there when we got out was already closed. It was all done by midnight.
It's really weird.
FanFest was cool. It was okay.
A lot of cities do that. It's like, I don't know how to put this politely, but usually the higher the crime rate, like Detroit everything used to close like 11 p.m. in Detroit. Now it's all thankfully open super late.
The best city though to host any major event, and I will die on this hill, New Orleans. Yeah. It is. It's open 24/7 basically.
Look, I'm sick of these built-in Southern home games or bowl games. All right, I'm not even kidding. There should be more stuff up north.
Why does
Minnesota not? Why is that Minnesota beautiful stadium not get a title game?
I don't understand. And now we're going to Vegas, so we're going to the West Coast.
A week later, too. Isn't it like this? It would be like today.
It's a full week later. It's January 27th.
The Natty would be tonight.
Yeah, the Natty would be literally tonight. In 2 years, it's in tonight. Like
I think the one city that's very underrated, and we kind of
listen. Cover this up, and I'll cover that up. You're telling me Ohio State, Notre Dame had less ratings than Michigan, Washington? Give me a break.
And why? There's one reason.
He's getting pushed back later and later, and it's debating with the NFL.
By the way, it's not the rankings. It's not because it technically would have been a 5 versus 6 ranking if they would have went by the rankings. And it's not 7 versus 8. And because here's the thing, if you have a 7 versus 8 matchup in the middle of August or September or whatever, that viewership is through the roof, especially if it's Ohio State Notre Dame. Viewership's through the roof. It's because, first off, I agree it was Inauguration Day, and there was a lot of people probably that were paying attention to that. But the other thing is, I really honestly think it's because it got dragged out so long and so late.
No one cared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like imagine put the game on a Friday.
Put the game on a Saturday.
Or what you could do is I would say Saturday at noon. I don't know if that would work though.
No.
The NFL does that nonsense, or could you maybe even have the NFL do a
1 o'clock,
3:30 NFL game, 7 o'clock title game, and then do 3 games
on Sunday?
Maybe.
But it's just all about like the whole setup of it on Monday night. And I know we've done Monday night forever, but we've also done Monday night is also not been like ridiculously late into January. I mean, look, I get it. It is what it is. You should not have had a lower rating. Like, I'm sorry, but like, yeah, there was a ton of people going to watch Michigan. No offense, but Washington doesn't move the needle for a lot of people. And now you had Notre Dame and Ohio State, who are 2 national brands.
Yeah, it was Michigan, Texas. No kidding. Of course,
Michigan, Texas would have drawn. Perfect. It's the fact of the matter is that Ohio State, Texas almost outdrew Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Yeah, which is nuts.
I think it did.
It might have. Yeah, it might have.
Michigan, what's it called? Michigan, Alabama outdrew the 92. So
yeah. So I mean, it's all about how late it was.
Timing.
Only explanation.
I will say the only thing I'll say positive about the 12-team playoff that I've been staunchly against the entire time. That Thursday Friday game was sick.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
NFL. Woo.
Yep.
Yeah, 5 straight days. That was pretty good.
Thursday Friday was awesome. Unless you ended up getting sick after the Friday game.
Yeah. So I think that's all on the Natty. Just kind of a quick update on everything that's going on in the sports world.
Yeah, I got no congrats text from Blake.
Quick discussion. Hoops right now, the top 2 teams in the country are in the Big Ten. Top 3, MSU, Purdue, and Michigan.
Are you sure Purdue's up there? Are you sure Purdue's up there still?
I would say Purdue's up there.
They literally lost to us. They lost to us.
Yeah, but they beat Michigan.
Beat us the next game
by 30. By 30.
You know what the funny thing is? They're our kryptonite in football. We're their kryptonite in basketball. We somehow find a way to always beat them.
We're still looking good for getting 10
Recently.
plus teams in the tournament, which is always a good thing. Hockey wise, 14.
I don't appreciate Michigan State fans not rooting for Michigan, because if Michigan would have beaten Purdue, it all but would have guaranteed the winner of the championship would have been the winner of the last game of the season, Michigan State, for the title. Disgusting behavior. Michigan's still winning the regular season title. I know it's plus 800 in DraftKings. I don't care. We played all of our tough games early. Michigan State's got this make-a-wish schedule in the first half. They're going to go through a gauntlet soon. It's fine. We're playing deaf people. They're playing at Rutgers in a neutral site. and their second best player is out the whole game. Yeah, okay.
As you're playing Penn State.
Oh, sorry, he played 1 minute. My apologies.
As you're playing Penn State right now.
Penn State at home on a Monday night at 6:30. What do you want me to do? I best played at Purdue.
Yeah, I know.
I get Purdue twice, and I get Michigan State twice, and I get Illinois
hockey discussions.
How my overlap's not okay.
Hockey discussion, since we're touching on that. I think 5 teams in the top 25 now. MSU still at the top, then Minnesota, then Ohio State, then Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Who do you guys play this week?
We play the Buck. We don't play this weekend. It's weird. We play on Thursday and Friday.
I know.
Really weird.
Very weird. I will be in attendance for Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. Should be good. So let's kind of finish out the year. One thing that you really liked from this year, and then one hot take going in.
I got one rant first, and then
okay.
I think we could do like a self-report card, maybe.
Yeah, we can do like
more for me and you than fucking the guy on the bottom.
Yeah, we can do like a one thing that surprised you, or one thing that you really liked from last year, and then we could kind of do a bold prediction for next year. Kind of
Pennsylvania State Nittany Lions.
Yep.
They get a defensive coordinator, right?
Okay.
His name's Jim Knowles. Now, I understand the premise of the idea, right? I get it. It is what it is. Obviously, defense is not your problem. You go all in, here's where the crux of the issue comes in. These people, these Nittany Lions, are trying to equivalent their run to Michigan's run. Now, Ohio State's run compared to Michigan's run, there's a ton of similarities, okay? That dork, Jack Sawyer, copied JJ's sign of the camera. He left out the record for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, I at least appreciate Cozzi's shirt saying that there's 1-2 losses in their season. It's fine. They're doing that. The Natty shirt has T-ton loss on it, which I think is the most embarrassing thing of all time. That's just me. I would have respected they left it off. T-ton too. Come on. We've never talked about it officially, but the point of an acronym is for it to be lesser than the first thing, okay? That team up north is more syllables than Michigan. But whatever. That being said, so Penn State, they're trying to do this thing, right? Because Ohio State did kind of the same thing where it's like, oh, okay, Michigan had all these old guys and veteran culture guys are going to bring them all in, blah, 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 blah.
And it worked.
Yeah. Penn State, same thing. Oh, we're going to bring Ohio State, we're going to bring everybody back, blah, blah, blah. Plus, we're going to get the top 2 guys in the portal. That helps, whatever. Yep. And then we're going to complain about it a year later, but the portal sucks, whatever. And it's whatever. And then Penn State's like, okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring all the same guys back. Blah, 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 blah. Look, Ryan Day can beat every team in the country but one. Okay?
Pretty much.
James Franklin can't do anything. He can get out of his own way. Okay? My coach is 3-2 versus top 10 opponents. Okay? He is
SMU and Boise State.
Huh?
He beat SMU and Boise State.
SMU was 11, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think so. But he beat Boise State. He beat Boise State.
Part, by the way, if you look at Michigan's schedule, okay? So yeah, we're 3-2. Kind of. Okay, Sharon's kind of 3-2. They don't give him Penn State. Penn State he should get. They don't give him Ohio State. I understand Ohio State because Harbaugh game planned in the day of was like, no, you can't do it. I guess kind of same thing with Penn State. Whatever. I respect my coach. He gets them. He's 3-2. We also beat 11 twice, which is hilarious. USC and Alabama, both 11. But Alabama, of course, I think they went up in the final rankings or something ridiculous, something stupid. Okay, they barely went down.
They played it was a quality SEC loss.
One of Michigan's 17-point upset wins this year. Whatever, it's fine. With Wink becoming the most hated man on the campus. Some people defended Wink the entire time, but I'm kind of bleeding another point. Whatever, I'm all over the place. Penn State, you're bringing everyone back. Okay, you didn't bring. You're making receivers leave. Whatever. The silver lining that people don't talk about with the Michigan and the Ohio State national championship run. So Michigan had one of their worst seasons in a long time. How many juniors are going in the first round for Michigan this year? 4? Interesting.
Probably, yeah.
How many underclassmen would get drafted by Ohio State right now? At least 2.
Yeah.
All right. Jeremiah and Downs would probably be top 10 picks. Michigan's got 2.
Jeremiah would be a slam dunk number. Yeah. He might be the number 1 pick.
I like Jeremiah as a receiver is the level that Mason Graham is as a D tackle. Obviously, Will Johnson kind of opted out. Oops, I said that out loud. It is what it is. Kenneth Grant, when he runs the combine, is going to fly up. This Tyler Warren over Loveland nonsense is going to stop when Loveland runs like a 4.5 at the combine. Whatever. Penn State has no upper level talent, borderline any position. I mean, Abdul Carter, I think he's a little overrated. I mean, granted, he got hurt, so he couldn't really make an impact in the game.
Yeah.
Drew Aller, let's get serious. Okay, they're trying to compare him to JJ. Look, does he have more potential to be elite than JJ? I guess you could say yes. I see where you get that from. People don't understand, right? JJ wasn't the best, right? He wasn't super elite. He didn't do all of this stuff. But the things that he was elite at, he was an unbelievable runner when needed. He was the most efficient third down quarterback in the last 2 or 3 decades. And more importantly, JJ is a winner. Okay, when you needed him the most, he would make plays every time. Okay, and more importantly, you got James Franklin. Okay, and hey, you hired Jim Knowles. Congrats. To me, it's even funnier because it's now got that's the last step for Franklin. It's like, okay, we're done now, right? They tried to get Carnell Tate allegedly and all this stuff, but you don't have a receiver still, and you lost your gimmick tight end.
You just said it right. No, you just said it exactly right. They have no wide receivers. They have no tight end now. Well, I mean, they have a quality. Still. They have a quality tight end still there. That's the backup right now. But look,
you can only throw it to your running back so much, and I don't know. Everyone's going to do the Penn State dance this year. It's funny.
Oh, ESPN has already done it.
Not Josh Pate. The other one, guy that the
Pickle.
Klatt. Klatt's got them number 1. He's got Ohio State number 1. He's got Michigan. He's got Penn State number 1. He's got Michigan number 10 though, so I can't get too mad at him. He's the only guy that's respecting us right now, which is fine. It's just look, Penn State. Can we get serious? You have home against Oregon. I'll be rooting for Penn State because I hate Oregon, but at Penn State, you probably could have beat them this year. Now you're giving them extra motivation for no reason. I mean, I get it. Their defense has never been that good, and I don't know if Knowles' system, which is more of like a secondary type thing, is going to event. The Penn State's a D-line linebacker thing. It's not like
it's going to take a while for them to adapt into his system. That's why I'm kind of
I don't know.
Okay, now you're going all in with your best quarterback that you've had since. Here's the thing.
Trace McSorley's better, but that's a whole different issue.
Look, I just can tell you right now, you really just added an extra motivation to our whole fan base again. And I've already seen on OSU Ticket Exchange, people already posting going, I want tickets for November 1st. I'm looking for 2 tickets.
I cannot wait. Cannot wait until I can fade him in that game. Cannot wait. I've said, man, people know what I've said in this podcast for a long time. I said the biggest bet of my entire life will be when the Southern teams come up north, both lost alt spreads. Not even, it was alt spreads, 30 points, all of them. So I'm looking forward to that game. It is circled in my calendar. I don't even know who Michigan plays that week, but I hope it's not at the same time. But yeah.
Well, it'll be a big noon kickoff. It'll be a big noon kickoff for us.
I don't even know when we're playing that week, but yeah, it is what it is. But let's let Zach do the last little segment. We can go on for a minute.
Yeah. So let's just kind of go over one thing that surprised you from the last season. Doesn't have to be about your own team.
Perfect.
What doesn't have to be your own team, and then kind of one hot take for next season. Doesn't have to be your own team either. And then we'll kind of wrap it up. Go ahead, Blake.
So I did say today I gave Michigan a B- on their season. Obviously, it was a back-ended season.
Yeah.
You guys saw me here after, I think it was the Indiana loss, where I was just my brain's broken. I didn't know what was going on. So I would say one of my biggest surprises was how inept the coaching staff was at depth chart. There were so many guys at so many levels that were just so bad, and they were playing for so long. The quarterback situation alone was borderline a fireable offense. Granted, that quarterback situation got you Bryce Underwood. So, at the end, is it really that bad? You had the wrong running back playing for a long time. I mean, anyone with a brain saw that Cleo Mullings was so much better. Speaking of quarterbacks, we got Bryce Underwood live in the flesh at the Michigan game again. He is undefeated in Michigan sporting events that he's attended, except he was at the Commanders game, where he was the best quarterback on the field. That's a whole different thing. But yeah, so you look at Michigan and you're like, okay, the running backs are bad. The offensive line was a disaster. The wrong guy starting there for a while. They finally figured out the secondary situation against Ohio State, which is a pretty good time to figure it out. But once we started hearing that Ohio State stuff, or the actual Bryce Underwood stuff, I can kind of get into a bit more now. So it started after Texas. After the Texas game was the first initial time where I believe, allegedly, Bryce's camp was talking to us first because they kind of wanted the off ramp. LSU, their offer was a bit different. It was not structured in the typical way, whatever. I don't know how much I can get into that part specifically, but basically the talk started super early, a lot earlier than anyone knew. It got super serious when our guy, Sam Webb, posted the fireworks gif, and that's kind of when it all started. But what basically happened was, I don't even remember who did even play before. I think it was, we lost to Illinois and Indiana like back to back. No, we lost to Indiana in like the most heartless, gut ripping game of all time, 20-15. We should have won that game easily. Indiana, the daunted boys who stink. Actually, shout out new Barstool member of the Indiana starting center is the new Bussin' with the Boys for Barstool today. So daunted, I guess. Or undaunted, excuse me. I always get it confused. But yeah, they did the whole thing. It is what it is. And you lose that game in gut-writing fashion. And I remember I came on this podcast and I was just dead. I was like, man, I won a natty like under a year ago. I mean, we're so dead. I mean, maybe we sold our soul for the devil, blah, blah, blah. And then you get Bryce Underwood, you kill Northwestern, and then you shock the world and beat Ohio State. And then you carry the momentum into beating Alabama. I mean, it was probably the best 8-5 season you could ever get. You also fire your terrorist offensive coordinator. You bring in Chip Lindsey, who did a great job with Drake May. We'll see how it all ends up happening. You obviously had a really good portal at certain positions. I still want some guys added, but that's a whole different situation. The offensive line is going to be interesting to see. We added the Fair State kid, who's beautiful. But if there's still a lot of red flags I saw where it's like, again, like the Khalil Mulling situation against Indiana too, where he was like half suspended because he has brutally assaulted that Michigan State female staffer. I mean, thank goodness we had a moment of silence on this podcast for that poor woman staffer that got murdered that we never saw a thing about the entire time. But it's just, there were some things where it's like, I don't know, but he's got that swagger. Sharon, man, the way he conducted himself before and during and after the Ohio State game, I'm totally in on him. I was publicly and behind the scene kind of being like, I don't know, Sharon's the guy type thing. I mean, it was hard to think he was the guy with the way he was coaching and acting. Like some of his challenges this year were crazy. And then it's like, hey, he only got game planned once before and it was Bowling Green. It was a nightmare. But we've gone over this 100 times. It would be hard to not be all in on Michigan right now. Obviously, you got the number one quarterback coming in. And it's like, look, dude, we just beat Ohio State and Alabama, right? And say what you want. Alabama's pretty much their entire team was playing. They had very minimal opt-outs, which is crazy, by the way. But I think we'll probably see less opt-outs maybe with the amount of money kids are getting paid, because you can be like, hey, here's an extra $200,000. Let's play this bowl game so we can get some more bowl money. And it is what it is. But you look at it and you're like, okay, you had Davis Warren out there. You did your thing. And I almost think the perfect situation happened. Obviously it's sad that Davis Warren blew his leg out, but seeing how horrific Alex Orji was at the end of that Alabama game, again, I don't know how much you guys watched. Again, Alex Orji's final stat line was 2 for 3 for 2 yards and a pick. Maybe one of the best stat lines I've ever seen in the history of quarterbacking. And it was literally just run. And Jordan Marshall was running through people. How efficient Michigan's run game was against Ohio State and Alabama when everyone knew all we were doing was running was kind of crazy. Like, I know Jim Knowles, obviously Cozzi can probably speak his mind on this now. Jim Knowles allowing that many rush yards to Michigan when everyone knew we couldn't pass the football was kind of crazy. And then the same thing with Alabama, who they actually fired their DC after we beat them. So, and again, shout out Wink Martindale. He gave up, I think it was 19 points in his last 3 games against Ohio State, Notre Dame, Northwestern, and Alabama. So that was pretty good. The only other surprise I would say outside of the Big Ten, the two I would say is, I guess I'll say one's like a future prediction. One's a surprise was how well the Big Ten actually matched up with the SEC just in general. I know we were all kind of like, oh, now that they can't cheat, we're going to do good. As Shane Gillis said, now that everyone can pay their players outside of Alabama Jones in the SEC, we all have a chance. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, you got, South Carolina losing to Illinois. You got Michigan beating Bama. what else? USC beating A&M. Like a lot of teams where it's like bad teams, bad Michigan, bad Big Ten teams beating better SEC teams. The SEC, it was a bad week to be an SEC hypothetical. You went from
I just want to say this all to the SEC.
Yeah, I know. That was the part that people, I don't know if they saw when Juice Wells did that to him, and the Duke game was incredible. But and then my final prediction is, other than, I have two predictions. The Michigan one I'll do last. I'm so back in on Clemson. My guy Cade Klubnik, he was showing so many flashes against Texas, man. God, if his defense could have gotten him one stop, they would have beaten Texas. Whoa, even more of a cupcake run to the championship for Ohio State when they would have beaten them in the Sugar Bowl, but whatever bowl they played. And then finally, Bryce Underwood will not lose a regular season game he starts. That is my thing. That, at least for this year, because I don't know if he's going to start week 2. He should, but I don't know if he will. I love that he doesn't have to go against Jim Knowles anymore. So shout out Penn State, I guess, for that. But yeah, I'm pretty all in on Michigan this year. I'm super bullish on them as of now. Michigan the last few seasons tends to finish the season one of the hotter teams, and they get hot at the right time. I think this 12-team playoff is made for Michigan with how much depth we use and how early we sub kids in. I'm very excited for this team going forward, and it's hard not to be. It's hard not to be. I think this could be – I think we could be looking forward to an all-time Michigan-Ohio State game later this year. And I will say there's actually one tweet I want to read quickly from my buddy Isaac, who I go to all the games with. He had a really good tweet to sum up the last few years of the rivalry. Thankfully for him, he doesn't tweet often, so I can do it. Michigan, Ohio State, the last 5 seasons, so since COVID. 117-21 combined record. Obviously, a lot of that was us this year. Sorry, Cozzi. 3 top 5 matchups. 2 11-0, 11-0s head-to-head, which is crazy in 5 years. 4 Big Ten championships. 6 unanimous All-American first-teamers. 6 Heisman finalists. 6 playoff appearances. 2 national championships. I mean, if that's not like the best 2 teams in football, the best rivalry in football, it is what it is. But it's all over now because it doesn't matter anymore.
Sure it doesn't.
It doesn't. We almost got arrested for having no pants to the championship parade.
Don't care. I'd do it again.
Doesn't care. There he is. Look, see, doesn't matter. What did I say?
Right. It still is the best rivalry in sports.
I know.
And every other sport has the same thing, whether you want to agree with it or not. Like Duke, North Carolina, they play 2 times a year or sometimes 3 times a year. Now we may end up playing each other 2, 3 times a year. It's going to happen at some point where we are going to play each other 3 times. It's going to happen where we play each other 11-0, go to the Big Ten title game and play each other again at 12-0 and 11-1, and then meet in the semifinals or championship game.
God, it should have been that 4-teamer. Imagine if we met a 4-team natty.
Do you know how mad the SEC would have been if we both would have won?
I mean, Ryan Day would have already been gone. Whew.
Probably might have been. He might have been. Oh, if we would have lost the natty, Ryan Day would have been gone.
Michigan twice in a month.
Yeah,
oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you want to go, Zach, with your?
You can go ahead first, and then I'll go.
I mean, obviously, I think we're in A+. We won the title, so obviously, there's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, Jim Knowles just up and left. There was a lot of dissension in the defensive ranks. Kind of knew some stuff about it. Kind of shocked by some stuff about it. Penn State's paying him a lot, and he apparently thinks he's worth a lot. But also apparently he doesn't like to get yelled at by Ryan Day and being told, hey, your defense needs to play better when you give up 32 points to an Oregon team. Who would have thought that giving up 32 points meant you got yelled at by your boss? Like, I mean, look, so obviously national championship, there's one thing missing. Ryan Day still has to beat Michigan. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That's why I was sneaky. I said this earlier. Sorry to jump in. I was almost happy you guys beat Oregon because it's like you avenged everything but us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, hey, it's not. It's funny because some Penn State fans were like, "Dude, I don't know why you even care about Jim Knowles leaving. You won the national championship. You won," and I'm like, because we strive for greatness, and now
you're not a third base program,
and now you've motivated us again to literally that game. We're always going to be motivated to beat Michigan. Like, we're just never settling. Like, I can tell you that as a fan. Like, hey, it's been a week, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm ready for November 1st. I'm ready for August 30th. I'm ready for fucking Texas. Like, I wish we were going to strap it up next week and playing again. Look, I do have one hot take and this is going to be the AP poll, and they're going to do it, and they're going to pound it home. Texas will be 1 or will be 1, and the other team will be 2 because they want top number 1 versus number 2 to start the season. It's the only reason. I kind
of think they might put Ohio. They might put Penn State above you. I don't know why. I'm with you. I almost could see like a Texas, Penn State, Ohio State. I don't know. I kind of see it.
That would be fine. That's fine.
You personally would love it.
Oh, I would absolutely eat it.
I can already see the note emoji in the chat right now.
I play the underdog role all the time, and I fucking love it.
You all see on the podcast, we were a 10-point or 12-point underdog, and he's like, I don't know. Come
on. Here's the thing. This is why football is great. We love to argue about it. We love to have this podcast, and I know deep down like that this is like, even that Michigan game, I was still like, I had fears that something would go wrong, and it did. And it's like, that's why you play the game. It's not just on paper, but I'm always one who's going to play the underdog role and would love to see Penn State roll into the shoe undefeated in number 1 because they've done it before. They had a 21-3 lead at the Horseshoe with Saquon, and they blew it. And they were number 3
at home this year. Like on the first possession.
Exactly. They were up 10-0 on us. And they thought, oh my God, we're going to blow the doors off them. And they lost. And
I personally was like, thank you for the plus sign next to Ohio State money line in this game.
Yeah, exactly. I want to go and say I do have a few hot takes for next season. And
yeah, go ahead. I mean, this is early. We'll talk more about
this. This is early.
This is we find this episode in a couple months when one of these hits and don't do anything else.
Yeah, kind of. Illinois will make the tournament next year. That
was going to be one of mine, but you got it.
Illinois will make the tournament next year.
I think Illinois is the top 10 team that finishes unranked.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I mean,
the thing is the darling teams never start the darling.
I know. I understand that. I understand that. And
Maryland runs the table next year. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I hate to do it. I think there's a team that might be pretty good next year.
Yeah, I mean,
they might be. Yeah,
they got a good quarterback. That's for sure.
The other thing is, I will also say Kate Klubnik is back. Clemson is back. Yeah! Clemson. I know we never agree on shit, but when the podcast all agrees,
we're always right. We're the only show in the North American media where everyone agrees and there's no graphic because we're always right.
I know. And literally, I have no idea when we all agree. And if Zack says he's in on Clemson, I know Clemson's going to win the ACC.
More importantly, I think Phil Maffa's gone, Zack, so you can't hate him anymore.
Yeah, for sitting out.
I will also say, looking ahead to someone next year that I think is going to be just absolutely awful. And they are going to be very, very disappointing.
I was going to say Indiana.
No, I'm not.
Say Arch Manning.
It's all about
Miami.
They are.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of in on them.
They are going to be terrible. They are going to lose 4, maybe 5 games next year.
Hey, yes. God bless him, man. You get to hang out with your
only other
supermodel girlfriend, and you're going to win a bunch of games, make a lot of money. Good for him.
Only other crazy thing I have to say is they will be in discussions for the last playoff seeding, and that'll be the Florida Gators. They will be
so out on DJ Lagway. I'm going to do an independent video on that.
Okay, well, I guess one of us is going to be right, and usually I'm the one that's wrong.
I'm so out.
Blake is probably going to be right, but
he's got a lot to learn. Obviously, he's a freshman, but if you rewatch that Tulane game, boom.
Oh, I know.
But the only highlight of that game was the big fat kid getting a first down carry, and then Marco Rubio's son scoring a touchdown.
Hey, that was a good one.
All right, let's start it off. First season, we got a lot to improve on. Hitting the portal hard, love to see it. Getting some former All-Americans at the FCS level, filling the needs, filling the holes that we needed to. Going to be a great time to think and see what I can see come spring. You never know. This is year 2, finally settling into a new system, getting everything in place. You just never know. I don't really have a set grade. It's hard to grade a first-year head coach. Blake did it, but his coach was within the system. We had a whole new system, so it's hard to set a grade on what happened. I love some things that I've seen. Some things most definitely can be improved on. I love watching football. It's just unbelievable how many games I watched this year. I could probably tell you over 100.
Same with me, man.
It was unbelievable. Bold takes for next year. We're going to start it off. I think this is going to be a hot take, but not really that hot take. I don't think either Texas or Georgia will be in the SEC championship game. There's too many good teams. There will be a mess, and neither team is going to make it to the SEC championship game.
The first one's obviously crazy. Georgia, I could see, but who do you have? Short list, maybe 4.
If we're looking
Texas.
If we're looking
Ohio
at
State.
What? I'm saying in the SEC though.
It all depends on the schedule. I haven't looked exactly at Texas.
It's literally.
What are they like off your head? What are your teams you like?
No, hold on. The SEC is the opposite, Zach. Like they're doing the home and home. Like they kept the same schedule. They have the exact.
They play Texas A&M and Georgia. Okay, so they don't really have. They have Florida. If I'm thinking right now, this is a tough schedule, but LSU could have a bounce back year. They brought back Nuss.
I like LSU this year.
I think this could be a good year for them. I still think South Carolina might have it. I still do. I can't give up hope yet.
Now they could be the Indiana.
They lost that bowl game, but they also retained such good talent.
They did.
North Sellers is so good.
Wait, hold on. Aaron Nolan's not starting?
No. Aaron Nolan is not starting.
He's sleeping, talking in his sleep.
They retained a lot of talent.
Dylan Stewart.
My other hot take. Not very hot take since you already said it. Clemson is fucking back.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, that's it. That's it.
I
think we found the BCS road trip for next year.
I think I'm talking. This is crazy, okay? And don't say I'm that crazy. They win that first game. They maybe upset South Carolina. I'm thinking maybe first overall seed. I'm thinking the number 1 team in the playoff. I'm all the way that far back.
They play the U this year?
They do not.
Ooh.
Well,
3 years.
Well, no, hold on. We don't have an ACC schedule out this year yet.
Yeah, we do. They just released it 2 days
they
ago.
did?
Yep, they play Syracuse, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Boston College, Duke, Florida State, SMU, and Louisville.
How do they dodge every good team?
Yeah, they only have 2 ranked games, and it's against LSU and South Carolina, both non-conference.
Oh, is LSU's week 1? No.
Yep, at home. And then
LSU always does that, huh? They do a crazy out of conference for no reason. Where is that game?
It's at Clemson.
It's at Clemson.
It's at Clemson.
Is it really at Clemson, or is it a fake game?
No, it's actually at
Clemson.
Usually LSU will be like, "Hey, it's going to have one at the Superdome. We're going to have one at the Charlotte Stadium or the Hornets with the Hornets."
The Panthers. Yes. So sorry, I would say that could be our road trip, but I'm not skipping Texas OSU.
No, one of their games, not that.
No,
game.
we got a whole list. We can kind of look at it. And then my last hot take. This is probably going to be. We'll see how this pans out. I might be crazy for saying this, but Oregon misses the playoff somehow, some way. They miss the playoff. I think that there's too many good teams in other conferences where it's going to be a situation where it's
Florida State. Fuck! Ow, I sneezed.
It's going to be Penn State and Ohio State somehow fighting, and I still think Penn State has a chance to beat Oregon. I just think Oregon playing a younger quarterback is going to have a tough situation. where they did retain a little bit, but they also lost a lot, mostly at quarterback position. We've seen Dante Moore play before.
Yeah, we have.
Maybe he'll be better in a new system, but the first system, I mean, it was pretty rough to watch. But you never know. But that's one of them.
It's interesting. They don't play us this year, and had they played us, they would have played all 3 OSUs.
Yeah, the odds are that they'll end up playing one of us two. The winner of our game in the championship game is dumb. But
I don't know if they will. I'm going to be honest with you.
And then one last hot take.
They're a fake schedule.
One last hot take because there's still always a chance. I think at one point in the season, the 12th team that is the at-large from the group of 5 will be a MAC team. The MAC-tion is all the way back. We're going to have a MAC team that's in the running at some point in the season.
Listen, if Don Brown was still at UMass, I would be all the way in on that take.
Yeah. I mean,
but the MAC might not be here much longer, man.
We'll see. I think that there's still a chance where the MAC has a team that's running at some point.
MAC should have added UConn.
Yeah.
I need to look at the schedules for the teams. You know what? Hey, it could be Kent State. You never know. Dreams never die.
Dreams never die. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good things coming up. I mean, we'll have hockey. We'll have basketball for the next 2 years. Yeah, they went 0-12. They lost. I'm pretty sure they're. I want to know what their
point differential.
Yeah. Let me look this up. Point.
But yeah, we got obviously big stretch of basketball coming, hockey, all that. Michigan right now is down 3 with 3 minutes left. They just gave up like a 12-0 run to Penn State, I think. So
I don't know if I can see their.
Aren't you at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were only favored by a couple.
Roddy Gale just airballed a dunk.
I don't have a total point differential, but I see that they averaged.
Standings, maybe? I don't know.
They averaged. Okay, they averaged 46 points a game giving up, which was 134th out of 134 teams. They scored 13 points a game and 226 yards a game, with 525 yards to the opposing team a game.
I'm going to say this, by the way, Zach, on your MAC point. I think Ohio would have a very good shot had they not scheduled Ohio State.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah,
I hated the fact that called off the dogs. Tennessee against Kent State was annoying.
Oh yeah,
like if they would have still kind of tried, like because the thing is they went to their third stringers. Like some guys didn't have names on their back. They would have won 100-0.
They would have scored over 100 points. Yes,
they should have done it. It would have been funny.
Yeah. Miami of Ohio. So like just looking at the MAC from last year, Miami of Ohio and Ohio were pretty good, and they bring back a lot. Miami of Ohio plays Wisconsin and Rutgers on their non-con.
Hey man, we saw
Ohio plays Rutgers and Ohio State.
Did they bring back my guy Navarro? That kid was unbelievable down the stretch.
Believe they did.
Parker.
Think they did.
Navarro.
And they had that other running back from Michigan who's huge. I think he's a senior though.
He was a senior. I don't know if they'll have one more year.
He is a senior.
Point differential was 198.
Holy.
Well, what is that? Average loss of 17 points. It doesn't sound that bad, but whoa.
Also, the one thing I just wanted to kind of say is that
they played a D2 school.
Yeah, I know. There should be a requirement where you have to play at least one Power 5 school in non-con. Because this is
15-3 run the last 5 minutes for Penn State.
It's a little ridiculous that Penn State is playing freaking FIU, Villanova, and whoever. I think it was Charlotte as their non-con. That's a little ridiculous. I think you should have to play at least.
Okay, so we can talk about that in another episode as far as scheduling goes. And I think you're going to see right now, I think you should know that you can lose 2 games and still get in. And I think if you schedule a harder non-conference schedule to make the regular season even better, you shouldn't be punished if you lose 2 times.
How close it was to obviously a 9-3 team versus an 11-1 team.
Yes.
11-2, not really though. 11-1.5, right?
Yes. Correct.
They almost put them in.
Yes, I know they did. I'm well aware they did. And that's why I think that you need to start looking at non-conference schedules because when push comes to shove down the road here, and you're talking about a 10-2 team, like let's say Penn State goes 10-2 next year, and they're up against, I don't know, a 9-3 LSU team. Perfect example. A 9-3 LSU team who loses to Clemson, and I can't even think of who else.
It's to get 2 road SEC games, right?
Yes. I'm pretty sure that LSU has a very tough stretch of a schedule that is like a gauntlet of a schedule.
Oh, they do. Oh, I was just looking at it. It's unbelievable.
Yes. Okay, so let's say they lose to Clemson early in the season. They lose at Ole Miss, and they lose, I don't know. Let's say they no bad losses, and they lose at Alabama. Let's say those are their 3 losses. Who are you taking? A Penn State team who has no quality wins and basically maybe could have played Clemson? I mean, this is for another episode, but I'm just saying down the road, you need to have teams that are going to – and keep contracts.
Because it's Penn State. And, you know what I mean?
And keep contracts
Indiana.
too. Because, Blake, keep contracts too. Here's the other thing. Because you can't have these teams who are going to back out of contracts like we ended up having with the conference's realignment.
Mm-hmm.
Both of our schedules were very bad non-conference wise for 2 years in a row. And now we're at least stepping up. We played Texas. You have Oklahoma for 2 years. We have 2 years of Texas, 2 years of
crazy
Alabama.
when the game sweeps the Red River this year. Back-to-back weeks.
That would be kind of cool.
I want on record, this is an all-time loss if Michigan loses.
We can we can talk about some other stuff.
Yeah.
Come the next pod, whenever we kind of record that. Once we get past the spring portal, I think would be a good time. Kind of.
I mean,
after spring practices,
we'll do a basketball hockey rundown, quick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the middle of February or something.
Yeah, once we get close to the tournament, I think all of our teams are in pretty good shape to make the tournament. Right.
I don't know who you're looking at. Maybe you guys are, but
I mean, in hockey at least. But
in hockey, yeah.
In basketball, I think we're in good shape. Most of our teams. Maybe Ohio State needs 1 or 2 more quality wins, but yeah,
we're trying to be an 8 seed right now, bro. Buddy.
But yeah, all right. That's all we got for today. We'll be back for the 2025-2026 season pretty soon.
Go Bucks.
Please win.